Hello and welcome to this Yin Yoga practice. This yoga practice is going to be mostly utilising the wall. So we're going to need to find a space where you are, where you can have wall or a firm door that you can lean back against. The only other prop that you might need for this sequence, if anything, will be bolster or a cushion and probably something warm for your Savasana and your mat. So once you've got that little bit of spot available to join me in this practice, please come and be upstanding. And the first thing that we're going to do is simply walk the feet out a little bit so that you can let the whole back of your body rest up against the wall. Now, if it's helpful, you could lock your legs back after some time with the knees being a little bit bent. It might mean that your quads get a little bit tired and your hands can simply rest or arms can hang, eyes opened or closed. And this is where we begin. So if at all possible, see if you can bring in the kind of feeling you might have if you were laying on the floor, and bring that into the way that your body meets the wall behind you. So that the wall is actually coming to meet your body. It's not that you are finding effort within yourself to meet the wall. The wall in the practice today is symbolic of support. And the concepts we're going to be exploring very much revolve around receiving support. So whenever you find yourself in contact with the wall or with the floor, they will be beautiful opportunities for you to see how it feels for you to let those surfaces actually carry you with the least amount of effort coming from you. Wherever you happen to be in your life circumstance right now, in your world, in your emotional spectrum, sometimes it's really important to have a check-in with where you get your support. Not necessarily from the external places that you get support, but from where you find it within yourself. So when you feel unsteady or ungrounded or emotionally raw, where do you go? Do you have places or locations that bring you ease, that you can travel to? Do you have affirmations or mantras that you return to? What about in your breath? Do you find solace in the way that you breathe? These are just questions. So take a moment to actually lean into your own breath. Feeling the sustenance that comes with an inhale and the softening that comes after an exhale. The undercurrent of an offering in this practice is to give you time to reconnect with your own inner strength and support by getting back in touch with what it feels like physically to be supported by the wall and the floor. it makes sense to you. If you want, just floating your hands up into a prayer position, or one hand at the heart, one hand at the belly. Feeling that additional sensation of warmth and touch. Coming from yourself. Take the next handful of breaths to breathe into that point of contact that your hands are making with your body, wherever they're resting. Inviting the next exhale to help you to soften your face. Your jaw, your shoulders, your feet. And then we'll breathe in deeply together and breathe out. Namaste. The first couple of shapes we're going to experiment with at the wall are our broken wing. To start with, just imagine that you were rolling over on the floor or rolling over in bed, and just help yourself to turn over and rest your forehead against the wall, your hands, maybe even your belly if that feels all right. Receiving support where you're making contact with the wall. Our broken wing, usually done on the floor, can be a very intense way to open out the front of the shoulder and the pec regions of the chest, as well as providing a twist for the spine. But the wall can make a lovely substitute for the floor. So we're going to have a play with that here. We're going to start by just opening out the right arm onto the wall, or the hand to start with. If you usually like doing this on the floor with your arm extended out from shoulder height, you can have the arm straight, or perhaps you might want to play today with a bit of a bend in the elbow. A nice mechanism that you have to choose how strong or soft this is here is how close or far from the wall you want to be. So we'll start a little bit close, and then you can decide how to play with those levels. Left hand resting on the wall. At some point you might end up coming onto fingertips and using that to steer you into your right shoulder. But we'll just start by letting the head stay soft, and then turning your feet and your hips as if you were turning on a clock dial. Just start to turn your feet and hips a little bit to the left. And then you can keep turning in this way until you feel like you get an adequate amount of sensation coming into your right shoulder. You might prefer to lean the side of the head into the wall, and at this point you can explore how close to the wall you want to be. Maybe that left foot can actually step out and you can lean your hip into the wall as well. How bent that right elbow might be, or how straight the arm might be. Always with shoulder stuff in yin, please make sure you're taking care of your body, and if you get a really clear message from your body that you need to come out sooner, please do. Otherwise, we're going to be here for approximately another minute and a half. Nice full breath into your lungs. Breathing out. Peeling out of that shape. And then just see where you want to go. It might actually feel more restful to turn in and face the wall again, or to roll all the way around and let your back rest against the wall again. Wherever you decide to go, just let your right arm be as effortless as possible. Coming back to that feeling of resting as if you were on the floor. Receiving the support of the wall. The wall is coming in to cradle the back of your body or the front of your body. Rebounding here. Then taking your time to turn into the wall again, and we're going to explore that on the opposite side. So now we're targeting the left shoulder and pec area, so have a play with what this side needs. It might be a bit different. You might like a straight arm here or a bent arm, depending on what exists in your shoulder already. You can be as close or far away as you want to be. And then just slowly dialing your feet to the right, letting your pelvis come with them. Take it in small increments. Your right hand can be another little mechanism of steering sensation into where you want it to be, as can moving out your right leg and leaning into the wall. Particularly targeting the front of the left shoulder and the top corner of the left chest. Breathing deeply into the lungs. Breathing out. Slowly release that left arm and use the wall as if you were climbing on it to find where you want to rebound, either facing the wall or your back leaning deeply into the wall. Left arm as effortless as possible. Breathing here. The next shape that we're going to explore is our dangling pose using the wall. There's a couple of different ways that we can play with this. One is to simply have your back up against the wall with your buttocks resting back so you can decide how far away from the wall you want your feet to be. And like we normally would standing, we let the chin and chest come down, folding down over the body, buttocks leaning back and dangling down, targeting the whole back body, especially the tissue of the back and the spine. If the ground is too low, bring your bolster up underneath your hands so you've got something to rest into. That's one option. The second option, which is a little more snug and often a little bit stronger, would be for us to turn around and face the wall. Step back a little bit and then fold down into dangling and then walk the back of your rib cage into the wall. Please be mindful though that if you get a little anxious in tight spaces, this one can sometimes bring a feeling of claustrophobia. So I'm going to show you how to come in, but also how to come out with safety in case you prefer option one. So stepping back from the wall a little bit and then slowly bending knees, folding down, taking your time to walk your feet in, walking the back of the rib cage into the wall. And if this is too much or when you need to come out, the suggestion would be to back out a little bit and fold yourself down into a squat until you feel your blood pressure equalize, and then use your hands to walk yourself back up the wall. So you've got two options here for your dangling. You can decide how much time you need here, and we will eventually meet returning to standing. And so you can either choose to stay up for a little bit longer and rebound here, but we are going to be moving down into the floor for using the wall for the rest of the sequence. So at some point, might be a little bit fun too, you can just slide down the wall, or you can find your own way down and just come and take a seat. So lower body resting into the ground as the ground rises up to hold you, back and head resting backward as the wall comes in to meet you. Finding your breath. The next shape we're going to explore is our shoelace. Sometimes a tricky shape in the seated variation. The wall gives you so much flexibility in how strong or soft you want this to be. So our shoelace is really a powerful way to target the glutes and IT band. So for this, and perhaps a little disclaimer first, is however far away from the wall you want your buttocks to be, the less intense this shape is likely to be for you. The closer in you have your buttocks to the wall and the tighter the shape, the more intense it could be. So we're going to start by just turning onto the side. So this would be where you can manage that, how close to the wall or how far away from the wall you want to be. I've got maybe 5 inches for myself, which will probably make for quite an intense shoelace. And then swinging your legs up the wall and resting back onto the floor. So to come into shoelace here at the wall, if there are knee issues or you have purposefully slid yourself away from the wall to give yourself a softer experience, you could simply walk your feet onto the wall, make even more space, and just bring your right ankle over the top of your left knee. That might be plenty. If you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit stronger, then come closer to the wall. And we're going to place the feet on the wall. And being quite mindful, use your feet to raise your hips a little bit off the floor. Keep them there, so a sturdy left foot. And then we're going to take the right foot across. Now you can play with all your shoelace options here. Closed off completely, a little bit of space, and then lower the hips down. If your hips don't make it all the way to the floor, you might want to tuck a blanket or a cushion under your hips. I could have said that earlier. The other things that you can play with here to make this stronger: experimenting. Some people love it closed and some people love it open. You can roll your hips from one side to the other and really explore aspects of your glutes that are difficult to get into in the seated variation. Also, if you want this stronger even more, you can peel your heel off the wall, which will lever your legs closer in toward your body. So there's lots of different things that you can play with here as you figure out how to customize this shape to get into the places that you really want to target. We're going to be here for about another 3.5 minutes. breathing in deeply and breathing out. As you come out of your shoelace on this side, a really nice way to rebound is to simply walk your legs up the wall and let the wall carry your heels for you. And then we'll move into the opposite side. So you've got all those different variables on whether you want to make this softer or stronger. So you can figure out what you need on this side or what your body tells you it needs. Walking the feet onto the wall again if you're coming into the slightly stronger variation, and pressing to raise your hips up. Keep them lifted as you cross your left leg over the top of the right leg, as closed off or open as you prefer or you want to try, and then lower the hips down. Again, something underneath your pelvis might be a good prop to yield into if your hips are just hanging. Try rolling the legs over to one side or the other. Experiment with how much gap there is between the legs. And then lastly, you can also play with peeling the heel off the wall. Dropping into your breath. one, legs up the wall, or if you feel like you need a different rebound, you take care of what you need. The next little part of the sequence is a pick and mix, choose your own adductor adventure. And we're going to be picking from butterfly, frog and dragonfly at the wall. So you can see which one feels like a better way for you to target your adductor regions. So the first one is us playing with our butterfly, which is simply to bring the soles of the feet together and let the outer blade of the foot rest against the wall. And that the feet can come as far down the wall as you need. You can, if you want, add just a wee bit of extra weight with your hands. Obviously this takes the forward fold out of butterfly, and it means we can fully concentrate on the legs. But you might be playing with this and thinking, I'm feeling a little bit, or I'm not feeling much at all. So the next option might be to play with frog. So frog is a very short hop away from where we are. And the first thing that you can just try is widening the feet a little bit. So the outer blade of the foot is fully falling into the wall. And that can be as wide as you like. Or you could even roll your feet onto the wall. Or like a partial soles of feet on the wall, outer blades of feet on the wall. And if frog pose isn't really doing it for you, we have our dragonfly, which is just a simple step as well, opening out the legs. Now remember, if you're coming into dragonfly at the wall and the legs are relaxed but straight, but you're getting quite a concentrated pinpoint tug above or below the knee, a little bit of a bend in the knee can help redistribute more of the sensation into the belly of the adductor regions. So wherever you choose to go, there's going to be about 4 minutes of time to spend here. So with whatever you're feeling in the shape that you've chosen so far, see if you can also really appreciate where your back is being supported by the floor. So the back of the hips, the back of the rib cage and shoulder blades, the back of the head, And wherever your legs or feet are resting into the wall, let the wall really hold your legs for you. Coming out of this one, my best suggestion, especially if for you it's dragonfly, is to help your legs. Instead of switching on your muscles and trying to pull your legs straight up, just see if it's a little bit nicer an exit if you help yourself fold the back of your knees and then roll your legs in and around onto your chest. This might make for a lovely hip quenching moment of rolling around. And if legs up the wall still feels like a great rebound, that's there for you. But if at this point you're feeling like all the blood has left your legs and it's pouring down into your body and your head, this might be a moment where you kind of slide yourself off and perhaps just come down to the floor entirely off the wall. Letting everything settle. So if you haven't already come down onto your mat entirely, just sliding yourself down, and if you have been rebounding on your mat, we're going to take a little partial extra rebound, given that we've spent so much time on the wall so far, and we're just going to curl over onto one side and take a short handful of breaths there, transitioning. And however you roll onto your side, same concept What surfaces can you feel rising up to meet you? What body parts are they in direct support of? Can you let that support in? Breathing in slowly and deeply. Breathing out slowly and completely. And in a very slow motion way, we're going to keep turning and as softly as you can climbing up. Oh, a little bit of effort now, up onto all fours. So these last couple of shapes have got to focus around the shoulders and the sides of the upper body, so the latissimus dorsi map of the myofascial system. There's two parts to this. The second part is optional. The first part, we're going to start moving into threading the arm needle. So from softly arriving on all fours, we're going to gently float the right arm up and then scoop the back of the arm down and into the floor, letting the head come and rest, or the head rest on a block if the head doesn't quite easily meet the floor. And it's up to you how firmly you use this left hand, whether it stays close to you and you push and get a bit more roll through the trunk, or even if you take the arm through the top of your mat. Please feel very free to let your pelvis move, float around, and see how that influences sensation that you get around that right shoulder blade in particular. And we're going to explore this first part for another 2 minutes. Now you can either stay there if this is working well for you, or come and rebound early. The second option is to come into child's pose pullback. So essentially for that, first thing I want to do is just let the left hand come and find the right. And keep them sort of in contact as you let your hips get dragged back into your version of child's pose, so however wide you like the knees to be. You can play now with the angle at which your arms come out from the shoulder, perhaps on a bit of a diagonal. And then we've got a bit of a yin-yang relationship going on with the hands. So the bottom hand is clasping the top, and the top hand is pushing into the bottom hand. But the bottom hand is trying to sneak out and be pulled backward. In my practice, I like a little bit of a rolling action of the barrel of my trunk to help me kind of feel and explore where this sensation can shift to down alongside my body. This might feel a little more active than you're used to, so let it have an ebb and flow. And there's about 2 minutes on offer to explore this. Breathing in, softening the effort in your hands, and finding your version of a rebound. Especially for that right arm and shoulder. Softly starting to make your way up onto all fours for us to balance out the other side. So returning up and over onto all fours. Starting with our thread the arm needle, taking your left arm up and scooping and threading the back of the arm down and into the floor. All those same things are here and available for you to check out in terms of how you feel in and around that left shoulder blade, the side of the body. Dropping into your breathing.
And then we've got our child's pose pullback option if you so choose to explore it. Bringing the right hand down to meet the left, hips being dragged back into child's pose. Top hand pressing the bottom hand down, bottom hand trying to sneak out, like it's trying to sneak out of bed and not disturb somebody else. Breathing into what you're feeling. Inhaling, exhaling, releasing effort from the hands. Just taking a little rest here. Wherever you've been resting, we're going to make our way to sitting, to use the wall for some support for a meditation. If you want to explore it and you happen to have a bolster, the height can sometimes work out really nice to have the bolster behind you, something for your spine to lean back into, and maybe even the perfect height for you to just let your head rest back, like your own little yogi armchair. But you don't necessarily have to have that. You could simply lean against the wall and let the back of your skull receive the wall support. Restful hands, eyes opened or closed. And just bringing your awareness up to your head and notice what your head is resting against. Inviting both the sensations of heaviness and softness to where your head meets that surface at the same time.
further down the body, looking for the next place where your body is making contact with something behind you. It could be the neck, could be your upper back. Timing. Just keep moving down the back of your body, feeling into where you are receiving that surface, that support. Until that surface becomes the floor. And you can feel all the way out to your feet resting. Relishing in this moment of being completely cradled and held. also welcome to stay where you are if this feels really great for you. If you want some time in Savasana as well, make sure your movements are really slow, really considered as you come out of your seated meditation and rest down into the floor. Sinking into the ground. Exhale by exhale. Slowly beginning to let your breath stir and reawaken. Inviting deeper breath to move into your lungs and your belly. Letting small movement come back in. Until small movement becomes larger. And in the the slowest, softest way possible. Think about how you're going to make your way up to sitting. All of these sensations in the practice today are there to help re-establish what it feels like in the body to be grounded and supported, so that at times when the mind doesn't feel that way, you have a felt sense, you have a memory that you can connect deeply to. That's within you and not outside of you. So as you bring your hands back up onto the body, just let that really sink in. These tools and resources that you have inside of you for when moments seem to tip you off your balance and uproot you from the earth. Collecting your hands into prayer. And let's breathe in together and breathe out together. Namaste.